tore his ACL. So I'm not even going to comment on it. You never want to lose guys, and that's where I'm going to leave that one.
Why do we even ask players questions like that? Those are just dumb questions. What do you expect Baker Mayfield to say? Yes, we are better without Odell Beckham Jr. What?
Right.
What?
If you know the answer, why ask it? And in this particular case, Baker shut it down right away. Jay, I totally agree with you. On the other side, of course, is the Alabama legend, Tua Tagovailoa. He'll make his debut as a starter. He got in there for mop-up duty against the Jets. A couple weeks back, threw a couple passes, was 2 for 2. But now it's on. It's for real. They will welcome the NFL's, in many people's opinion, toughest defense full of these dudes. Say hello to the Rams, Tua.
I think it's really exciting for our offense and our team. It'll show, what kind of team that, we kind of have, after a bye week and whatnot. But we know what we're going up against. We're going up against one of the top NFL defenses, in the league. And it's not just Jalen Ramsey. It's not just Aaron Donald. You guys got, Leonard Floyd. You guys got Brockers, Young, and then Troy Hill, guys on the back end. So they're very sound defensively. So, we're really trying our best to prepare.
Do you think real Rams eat dolphins? Do you think if I
So it's like a land mammal against a waterfowl? Yeah, it's a tough call.
You think if I threw it out there that a real ram would eat it up? Because
is this
that's
Animal Planet or ESPN?
No, this is what's getting ready to happen to him. They just threw him to the Rams. So they're getting ready to munch up on him. I'm sorry. They gonna get him.
Did you notice how he actually channeled the other team's head coach? He was McVay there. He was just thanking everybody.
Well,
Everybody.
But that's who Tua is. Unfortunately for him, they just threw him to the Wolves. It's okay though. Get knocked around a little bit. Get to understand that you're not going up against Kentucky. This is not one of those. This is not South Carolina. This is some real grown ass men football with full beards, with car seats in the back of the car. You love that, right? And so when you got guys like Aaron Donald and that crew coming after you, you gotta keep your head on the swivel.
What do you think, Jay?
I think it's going to be interesting because Tua kind of strikes me as one of these guys. I mean, look, the Rams are only favored by 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
They're only favored by 3.5.
Yeah,
the game's in Miami, but
NFL games are never. And I'm not even a bettor, but NFL games spreads are never really like big. They're always close within field goal. Short of a touchdown.
Well, I mean, the Chiefs versus the Jets, that's pretty big. That's like 19.5.
Man, but come on, man.
I know, but all I'm saying is that, yes, it's going to be a hell of a defense for Tua to go against in his first game. But at the same time, we all know that sometimes it depends upon what Jared Goff you get. And sometimes Jared Goff can keep you in the game as well. So,
yeah, I'm not betting against the Rams. With Brockers and Ramsey and Jones and Fowler. I'm not doing that.
On the flip side, by the way, only 19.5. That's a pretty low number.
Taylor wrapping No, man, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking Tua over them.
The more interesting story for the moment might be the start of something for Miami. They're on that quest to finally get the guy after Marino. It's been almost 25 years. What are the expectations just this season that you would put, not that should be put, you would put on Tua? What do we need to see?
I just want to see him understand the pro game and be a pro quarterback, play like a pro quarterback. If you look at Justin Herbert and you look at Joe Burrow, two of the other guys that came out in the draft with him, they actually look like pro quarterbacks. Justin Herbert just got his first victory, been phenomenal. Joe Burrow's close. He's very close. Has done some tremendous things for Cincinnati. I want to see Tua in a tough situation. Now, look, he's 3-3. Taking over team 3-3. He's going up against the Rams. They're still in the playoff hunt. It'll be interesting to see if he could keep it alive. Now, is Tua that much better than Ryan Fitzpatrick? Probably better than him. They probably could still fight to get into the playoffs with Tua underneath, as long as the game isn't too big for him. You don't know until you put him out there. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I did the right thing because I don't want to go into 2021 season not knowing what quarterback I have and what it looks like, because I stayed with Ryan Fitzpatrick too long, thinking that if I get down to week 15, I finally can play. My young guy gets 2 games under his belt before next season. No, give him somewhat of a full slate.
Jay, you got one thing real quick?
No, we'll talk about it later.
No, absolutely. We will talk much more NFL with Damian
Hot sauce
Woody.
on the Dolphins?
That's cold-blooded.
Where the Big Ten schools are located. But, this is what they have been preparing for since March. And that's their response to this, is that we have probably what are the strictest protocols for return to play in college football right now. So it's at the very least 21 days before a player can return to the field, because Paul Chryst and any player or staff member who tested positive will be self-isolated for 10 days per CDC guidelines, but the players go beyond that, and then they have to be cleared by a cardiologist before they can return. They start with light to moderate exercise, and then they go through a return to play progression, which gets them game ready to get back on the field. So, the Big Ten is keeping its fingers crossed that they can make it through this entire season, but this is what everyone expected, whether you have daily antigen testing or not.
Heather, why are the Big Ten so strict in their policy on the 21 days? Could that eventually, based on what we're seeing, could that change?
I think it could change, and I think it's a matter of waiting for more data to be collected. What happens, guys, is let's just say hypothetically, if a player at Penn State tests positive, then they have to drive about 90 minutes to Hershey Medical Center off campus to go through cardiology tests. And that data then is shipped to University of Maryland Medical Center, where it's like a data bank, essentially, for every single player in the Big Ten who tests positive. After they have what the scientists and doctors consider to be enough medical information to say, okay, look, this isn't a problem, we can let them return sooner, then I would imagine that they would probably do that. The question is, how much data do they need? How long would that take? I heard from one source yesterday, it could be a December evaluation. At that point, is it even worth it? I don't know the answer to that. But yes, I do think that it could change. But the reason they're so stringent to answer your question is because when this all started, myocarditis was a huge fear amongst university presidents. So in order to get them back on the field, that medical advisory committee had either say, look, this is overblown, or these are the ways we're going to mitigate it, and the answer turned out to be B.
Being our college football playoff senior writer, Heather, sorry about that, could, let's say, a 5-0 Wisconsin type team, could they still make it to the college playoff?
Well, 2 points on that. One, in order to qualify for the Big Ten Conference Championship game this year, as we sit here and teams are playing an 8-9 game schedule, you have to play 6 games, right? And Wisconsin has already canceled one. It's going to be a no contest. Now, the average number of Big Ten games at the end of this thing is what matters. So let's say if every school in the Big Ten plays 7 games, then you have to have at least no more than 2 fewer than that to play in the Big Ten championship game. So you'd have to play 5 games to get in that thing. So yes, Wisconsin, depending on what everybody else does in the Big Ten and how many games everyone plays, they can still win the West. But right now, they don't even know if they can play the Purdue game. And that's the truth. As we sat here yesterday, Barry Alvarez and Paul Chryst said, we have no idea if we're going to play Purdue and if we're going to, how long this 7-day pause is really going to last. The second part of that answer is the college football playoff has not yet set a benchmark for how many games you have to play to qualify for a semifinal. So I don't know if they will necessarily. Would they put in a 2-0 team? Probably not. Would they put in a 5-0 team? Maybe.
Heather, how do you think the Big Ten is going to handle this? Because this obviously will likely not be the only team that will have to cancel a game. You said Purdue. Obviously, COVID is rampant in the Midwest. That is a geographical region of the Big Ten. How do you just see them navigating all this moving forward?
Well, I think it's going to be really difficult, and it's like every other school and every other conference, and I think that's what all college football fans need to realize right now. I understand we're focused on the Big Ten, and for good reason. The Pac-12 hasn't even joined the party yet, guys, and when you look at Florida, it's not working out too well for Dan Mullen down there. The SEC has had plenty of games disrupted. Notre Dame had a game postponed. They're playing Wake Forest now on December 12th, I believe it is. So where we are as a country right now is the same place college football is, and it's not heading in the right direction. So it's week to week for every school, and every single conference commissioner that I have spoken to is well aware of that, and it is up to the state